Hi, fellow ruminators. Welcome back to another session. Now, this morning or this afternoon, I shall be speaking briefly about the fact that Jamaica is a broken nation, a nation that seems to be awash with demons, where demons are on the loose, and that the nation state, the government seems not to have any grip on law and order in Jamaica. Jamaica is really a lawless society in which people do whatever they want to do and not abide by the laws that should govern a country. And no wonder you have people like Donald Trump's who desires to or desire, as it were, people who desire to restore law and order in the United States, to have a restoration of law and order, because we need law and order if our societies are going to survive. We're living in this post-modern era where we think that people should have all rights and they can do whatever they please because they exist. And the fact that they have different ethnicities and all of the things that we see, and I'm not suggesting that we should not have or we should not endow humans, we should not respect the rights of human beings in general, but we cannot give rights for people to do whatever they desire. And that's what happens in Jamaica. So even on the roads, people drive the way how they want to drive, and they drive carelessly, not adhering to the rules that should govern the road and should govern, what should I say now? Conscious driving, good driving. And this is why we're waking up to hearing some very, very sad stories about Jamaicans who are being slaughtered, being killed. So yesterday we woke up to the news story in May Pen in Clarendon, and they're saying that 3 children were killed because of an accident in which they were driving in a taxi, and it seems that there's an ongoing driver who might have been driving carelessly, and crashed into that taxi which was carrying these children, and they have lost their lives. These children have lost their lives. And, every day you wake up, there is another story. But there seems to be demons also running a lurking in that society. And, I'm looking at the Observer here. Cold killer. Woman shared meal with 8-year-old Daniel Rowe before cutting child's throat. Right? That is demonism. The woman convicted of abducting and killing 8-year-old Daniel Rowe in 2023 shared a meal with the child before cutting her throat and leaving her on the street to die. So that is what we call child sacrifice, the fact that you're cutting her throat. But we are living in a Jamaica in which the law is not the supreme land, is not the supreme guidance, as it were, of the land. People do not live according to the laws that have been set up by the government. So because of that, we find these gruesome murders are happening every day, and people have become accustomed to it. And because of that, people are not sounding the alarm. They're not shouting. Now, another thing that we have to be aware of and we have to be very cautious of doing is to lie. And we lie about our culture. We lie that we are a harmonious culture and that the Jamaican culture is a wonderful country. It is paradise on earth, but it is not paradise on earth. It is a little hell on earth, if you should ask me. A few people there are experiencing the paradise, the heavenly paradise, if you will. Nowhere is heaven, but for what it will, they're enjoying the beauties and the resources of that country. But for the few, for the minority class, but the large majority of Jamaicans are living or experiencing a little hell in that country called Jamaica. But the minority always imposes its view as the minority, the wealthy minority always imposes its view on the majority, saying that, yes, Jamaica is wonderful, it's paradise, while the majority are saying no. But they do not have the moral courage, like myself, to say that that is not true. The majority of people are just not experiencing heaven on earth. In fact, they are living in real hell, in literal hell, based on what they have to go through. So we have to now come to grips with the reality and see that, one, we have some very intractable problems there. The social conditions in Jamaica are abnormal, right? We have abnormal social relationships, and we cannot live with each other. And for that reason, we are killing each other. We don't like each other. Can somebody speak the truth that we don't like each other? We hate each other. And that is why the pent-up anger sometimes cannot be controlled, and it leads to the snuffing out of another citizen's life. That's very important that we should understand. And these are remnants of the plantation, remnants of slavery that we still are carrying, where the Willie Lynch syndrome, where we just hate each other. We abhor the presence of each other. Something that we have to come to grips with. Another reality that we seem not to want to come to grips with and not to confront is the fact that our economy is not doing well. We are at the weakest point in our lives. Why are we fooling ourselves that the IMF program has strengthened our economy when it has not done so? Why do we continue to lie to our citizens, not letting them know that the IMF is an exploitative institution and that it is not there to strengthen the economy of any country? It is there to do the contrary, which means that it's weakening the economy of these countries. Yesterday, I was listening to a short, clip from the President-elect Donald Trump, and he was suggesting that foreigners have to leave, the undocumented in the United States have to go. They have to go back to the countries, to their African countries and to some of their Asian countries or their Latin American countries, if they find themselves undocumented in the United States. And he's suggesting that, yes, go back and make your country great again. But what he's not involving in that conversation is how the United States has also demolished. They have helped to have demolished the countries that they can't be great again. Because the United States institutions like the IMF, the World Bank, the IDB have destroyed these countries and their economies that they've had to run. And not only their economies, but their political machinery, their political institutions. So you find that people sometimes find that they can't live in their countries because some of the wars that the United States have fomented in these countries, which cause them to leave due to the political chaos that reigns supreme in these countries. When are we going to wake up to these realities? So we have to broaden the scope of the dialogue, of the conversation. And that is why we're not living in a democracy as we think we are, because the government, the elites dictate the things that we can speak about, and we cannot speak the truth and the truth only. We have to mix the truth, we have to distort information, and people just do not have the moral courage to stand up and to say enough is enough, and that the things that we have been told are not true, and most of which are half truth. If there is any truth in anything that we hear in Jamaica and in the world at large, most of these things are half truths or full lies. They're never fully the truth, and that is why we are deceived, because we are not a unified country. We are not a Jamaica no problem man. We are a Jamaica lots of problem man. If you want to ask me, lots of problems, and problems that we also have created and that we have nurtured. I give you an example, I cite an example. When we look at the fact that during the pandemic, we were asking our young people to stay at home without going to school, without socializing, without being with their friends. And we thought that that was going to protect them. And now we're seeing the fruits of what we did. in terms of the violence that we're seeing in them. Every day you wake up and read the Jamaican newspapers, you are looking and seeing violence among school children, right? That the teachers and the principals are complaining that they can't control the level of violence in schools. Because if you know, those of us who have grown up pre-pandemic, pre-COVID, when we were children growing up, we yearned for returning to school after a long summer vacation, right? Because summer vacation was, 7, 8 weeks. And you yearned to go back to school. You felt that you were in a cage after 4 weeks. Wow, you wanted to leave home. You wanted to go back to school. Can you imagine people who were locked down there for how many years? Perhaps 2 years. We locked our children into homes, and lots of these homes are not, what should I say now? They're not decent homes, right? And these environments in which our children were forced to remain in have worsened them. And because of the lack of ability, because children need to socialize. I mean, adults need to socialize themselves, but more so our children need to interact with each other. And we deprived them, saying we are protecting them from a virus, right? Which in the first place did not really affect them, right? And now we are seeing the effects, the deleterious effects of our children having been caged into their home environments, killing each other every day, right? Where are we going? Where are we going as a society if we do not deal with the challenges, if we do not call a spade a spade? We have to call sin by its rightful name. And right now, we are living in an immoral society. In a society that is a deluded society also. Jamaica is a deluded society. We think we are on the road to success when we are far away from even the path of that success. Now, this article was written by a gentleman here in the Gleaner. Let me see if I have it here on my screen. Well, hopefully it will. Sometimes let me see if I can put it up. Yeah, it's here. Okay, let me see if I can. Where is it now? Okay, come on. Okay, I'll have to keep it at this. It's not in the full size, but let me see if my eyes can see. Now we have, can both political parties show unity? Because we lack unity, and it was written by Cargill Kelly, right? A very well-written piece in a letter to the editor. He says, I'm writing with reference to the article, if you live in a glass house, don't throw stones, published in the Gleaner on November 30th. I concur that both the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party are equally guilty of making racist, demeaning remarks. There is a need for a national conversation on race, ethnicity, and class. And yes, we do need that conversation because we lie to ourselves that out of many one people, when we know that we are not really one people, that we are divided peoples on that island, right? The Chinese are, even though we are mixed, ethnically speaking, racially speaking, but we are not together. We don't live together. We have not yet forged a unified national identity. We have not yet forged that identity. We don't know who we are as a people. We pretend to know. We pretend to know that we are. Recently, I was having a conversation with a so-called friend, and I mentioned to him that all of us, all human beings to some extent, suffer from some form of insecurity. And he got very upset. No, talk about yourself, because I am not insecure in any way. And I pointed to him, what if I were to put you before an audience of, say 1 million people? Would you not feel and have some levels of insecurity if you were to address them? No, he said he would. And, the thing about it, I was not trying to excuse our insecurities because we need to overcome our insecurities. What I was trying to do is to let him know that we have to face up with the truth. We have to confront the realities for us to solve them. So we do have, and Jamaicans suffer from a lot of insecurities. And that is why we continue to lie to ourselves. We might be the second poorest economy, nation state in the Caribbean region. When are we going to admit that fact? At least Haiti is already the first. When are we going to admit the fact that we might be? When everything is said, after everything is said and done, we might be the second poorest economy in the Caribbean. Yet we talk about how we are on a path to success and how our macroeconomics are great. And when you drive, look at the accident that happened to the 3 children yesterday in Clarendon, in Maple and Clarendon. I am sure it was due to the severe conditions of our roads, the deplorable conditions of our roads, and all these potholes. I was reading in the papers today that we have to get, this, I guess he was sarcastic, this writer was suggesting that we get some pothole navigators so that when Jamaicans are driving, they can navigate the potholes that they have there. Yeah. My uncle was telling me recently that the Jamaican government has bought so many buses. And I was even alluding to him that, yes, they might have bought a lot of buses, but what roads are they going to drive on? And they have to be constantly in repair shop. The government have to be constantly spending money to fix these buses because of the tear and in the tires, right? And other parts of the bus because of the poor conditions of our roads. So what's the sense buying all those buses and, racking up all those expenses if we know that they're not going to be driven on paved, decent roads, right? And then we make excuses for the government. Oh, the government could not have fixed the road because of the rains. Okay, well, the government was there for 8 years. And it wasn't raining every day all those 8 years. Why is it now that it's raining and it has been raining continuously that the government has decided to fix the roads? And it has all the money now in the world to fix the roads. And where is that money coming from? Where is that money coming from? That is what we have to ask. We don't even see an IMF, as I've been saying, I've been preaching on this channel. We haven't seen an IMF agreement. What if the government, which is, according to Andrew Holness, they're now at 75% of 74% of GDP, that's the debt to GDP. What if the government is going to stall that sort of lowering of the debt until the elections are passed? And is not going to use that money into electioneering? We have to ask these questions. We don't know what the government is doing or what the government is not doing. The government tells you it has a lot of money, it's awash with cash, and you believe the government because you are not a critical thinker. And that is another concern of mine, that Jamaica lacks critical thinkers. We don't want to look at every side of the coin. We just want to look at the side of the coin that belongs to us. So if we're a JLP, we're going to talk JLP propaganda. If we're a PNP, we are going to highlight PNP propaganda. And this is what the article is saying here, the letter to the editor is saying. We need to be unified as a country and look carefully at our problems. Toxic political talk and mockery of slavery undermine the foundations of our country. It is time to heal our country, enhance cultural integration, and help the citizens talk about racial integration in their communities in a positive way. If the conversation takes place, the two senior members of the parties could make them public declarations that we are not altar boys. Our behaviors are not entirely admirable or blameless, so we take full responsibility for our error in judgment. Right? And he's saying here, the writer is saying this takes courage to make the declaration. And he's right. It's going to take some courage. But this is the only way people will believe the debate is for real and that the members want to unite the parties and heal the country. Because the country is broken. Jamaica is broken. It's a broken state. It's not on any path to economic development. It is not. It's a lie. It's a lie. And we've got to come to grips with that reality. Our nation has been sold out to the highest foreign bidder. And we don't own that country. And when you look at what is happening in the hotel industry, that should be unveiling to you that we don't own the country. Because as the workers are suggesting, listen to what they're saying, that the owners of these hotels are coming to Jamaica with their workers, wherever they're coming from, be it from Mexico, from Africa, Asia, wherever they're coming from. They're coming with their workers and they're paying their workers much more money to do the same work than they are paying Jamaicans. It suggests to you that these people don't respect us. Yeah? And that you are going to be exploited in your own country. If we continue on this path, very soon investors are going to take over our hospitals, they're going to take over our educational system and send our people back, literally, on the plantation. Because that's the only way that is the only place left for us to go right now. Based on what is happening in Jamaica, because we have sold off everything, Air Jamaica, the Water Commission, the electrical company, everything, or waterfronts, beaches, or ports or airports, we have sold off everything. So the only place right, or the only path right now is for us to go back on the plantation, right? And have Bakramasa beat us and show us that we are not in charge. So if we want to continue to wine and dine and vote for Labour and shower to the world and all of those nonsense, if you want to continue to do that while your prime ministers and your government officials delude your minds and fill it up with propaganda, then people are going to continue to laugh at a broken Jamaica, and you will have nothing to show to the world, not even a Usain Bolt. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that you like and share and subscribe. Remember now to like the videos and to share them with as many people as possible, that we can grow as much as possible on the platform. See you later. All the best. Bye.